What's up, and welcome to the week two recap of SPL. I am joined here by Colin and Hamilton, two of our managers in the league. Hamilton, a regular on the pod, but Colin, you're one of the first people I think to ever make back-to-back weeks. How are you feeling after the week one results?
Feeling pretty good. It was an exciting week. I think it was fun. I'm ready to dive into it.
Yeah, no. Well, lots to talk about. So we can pretty much get into results, which actually starts us off with Colin's game. Um, Freddie played against Colin. Um, Shoot, I should have left the sheet open. I have it right here.
Got a copy of schedule. It shows it as well on the bottom.
The maps.
Oh, it doesn't have the maps. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So it was a series that went the distance to three, I believe.
That is
Um,
not true.
Colin 1 and 2. I know how to read my own graphic that I made. um, we went to Wasteland and Crystal Canyon. Colin was able to catch the dub on both. Um, so Colin, walk me through your mindset going into this series.
Going in, I figured I want to test out Crystal Canyon. Diddy's got the ability to take people off the field. I thought it might help. If he can take them off, having a 3v2 is 3v2 or even a 2v1 or something like that. It's a pretty big advantage. Maybe we can score some goals. I was pretty confident Freddy was gonna pick Wastelands, but I was fine with that considering I have a dry bones and he doesn't. So I let him pick it, and I didn't. I won't say what map I banned first. They could probably find it out, but there was one map I didn't want to play on against Fred. But the team played great defense. I'll give them that. We only scored 3 goals, but we only let in one. Um, we'll take a win.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I was looking at Colin, one of our master statisticians, made this graph for us. I think it's pretty funny to have you two in this bottom right corner over here together. Just after that first game, I think a lot of us were a little bit worried about whether we'd see entertaining games at all this season, which eventually proved to be not a problem. We saw a lot of goals later on, but neither team was really,
There.
really, really, really scoring a whole lot, which makes sense. You have two speed captains out there. I think you have two shooting sidekicks, but still, either way, not a whole lot of goals. Hamilton, do you have anything to add about that series?
It went exactly like I thought it would. No, it was an incredibly low scoring game, which was a little surprising to me. But it was interesting to have that be off the rip, as you've said. Like, just kind of set a weird tempo for the league coming into a new season.
Yeah. But like I said, it got more exciting later. The next game was Eric versus Grant, so I believe that's the Goose Crusade versus Lemons 2. Um Another two-game series where we went to a vanilla map in Crystal Canyon. Um Interesting. So last week, Hamilton, you were a very known hater of Eric's drafted roster. You did pick him in this series. Do you have faith in his team moving forward beyond this?
I was a known hater for his draft. I think that his captain pick might prove to be enough to carry him through that. I would be looking at some of the teams and how they played this week. I would be a little surprised if Eric goes below 500. And so I could see him doing well.
Yeah, which I mean, I think the captain power is still strong in this league. I think it's debatably less powerful. I really don't know. We'd have to run the stats to see results for games between like where captains were in the draft versus the results they got. I think that'd be interesting. Off the top of my head, I am looking at some
Down. I'll
result.
see what I can do.
I am looking at upsets just right off the top of my head. But this was I think the first game we've ever seen without a single speed character on the field, which is really, really shocking. But anyway, the Goose Crusade did get the win, and that took us into our next game of the Flying Dutchman versus the Mighty Luigi. I think I'm looking at two series here for potential series of the week, and I think this one was definitely the biggest roller coaster ride. Um, Adam texted me last night after watching the VOD in shambles, and I talked to him a little bit about it at work. Um, I don't know about y'all, but I did not think that this Luigi team had 9 goals in them. Ham, did you have any chance to talk to Reed about the results?
I have not talked to Reed about the results, but having helped Reed a little bit put together what he was going to do, and I do mean a little bit. I just was kind of talking to him about like what is each map, um, and watching him go down 4-1 in the first game, I was like, oh, it's about to be a long season for Reed. And then he turned it around, close game in the second, and then 9-2, like you said. Um, Now I have no idea if his team is just really bad on that first map they played on, or what happened. But 9 is crazy in my mind.
Yeah, and it does go to show that it's not captains for everything, because I think few people would argue that Luigi is better than Wario. However, Luigi was putting it down on the field and always has. So at some point, we got to start giving him more respect. That's our two of our joint golden boot leaders right there, which just doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
Next game was our other candidate for series of the week. Um, Dave versus Garrett grub match of HC United versus the Star-Crossed Allies. I think Garrett's team is called now. We went to Vanilla Crystal and had a map 3 on Stormship. And I was talking a little bit about how the goals seem to be a little bit less across the entire league, but finishing out on a 1-0, I don't think we've ever seen a game deciding 1-0, certainly not in the playoffs last season. Um, that also was one of the first times I think we got to see Starship, or Stormship, whatever it's called. Um, Colin, what are your thoughts on that map?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was really focused on fixing the stats throughout this series and didn't pay that much attention to it. um, but I think Stormship. I mean, I'm still holding out opinions. It could be interesting. I don't know if it's the best map, but I don't know if it's the worst map.
What
We
is the
saw a
worst
little.
map?
I know I picked it. Crystal Canyon might be the worst map.
I think it
It
certainly
is.
is the worst from the spectator's point of view.
It's it's just vanilla, but with less people on the field, and so the game is just slower.
Yeah. And we saw some abysmal combinations on the field too, where it just really didn't look like anyone was going to score at all.
When you say worst map, Colin, do you mean from a viewer's point of view? Do you mean from a uh, your team's manager point of view? Is
From
that where I need to
a
take you?
viewer's point of view, if you look
Okay.
at the map stats, I am 1-0 on the Crystal Canyon, so maybe stay away from there. You don't. Who knows?
That's fair.
But yeah, no, solid series. I know Garrett had high hopes going into the season with the team that he drafted, and must have hurt pretty bad to lose to Daisy. But what can you do when I don't even
That
know
one
how he
is
lost.
tough, but I think what might give Garrett some hope is that Reed did win, and they are running the exact same team. So like he gets a little extra data, see what maps might be good for him, see that his team can win games. So we'll see what both of them decide to do.
There also are 4 teams in the league that are very similar to Adam's team, with a power captain and a whole bunch of slow chonkers out there. Um,
Yes.
Next game, I'll leave it to the table, but I did catch the dub against Jacob. Um, Thoughts on Yoshi in season 2?
Um, I'll go that I think that he needs to start banning wastelands
Mm-hmm.
because I think a lot of people know to take Yoshi to wastelands. Um, I don't know if he will know to start banning wastelands, but um, I do think that Yoshi didn't look as bad when he was not on wasteland.
That's a
I
very
think,
fair point. I pretty much just applied the same map logic that I did in the playoffs, and like you said, I think it's only a matter of time before other people take note. So he's, I think a lot of people are going to end up having a permaban, and that probably should be Jacobs.
yeah. I will say that your team also looked good. Um, moved the ball, scored. 8 goals is not nothing. Um, and so I think it was a deserved 2-0 win, but it was probably not the closest 2-0 win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, especially in game two. But I don't think all lies a weep for Jacob. I think there's a lot of teams that he can beat, especially the slow teams that I mentioned before. The egg is going to feast. So I
Yep.
think I will be predicting Jacob against all those teams if he hangs on to Yoshi, and well, that's a given. And if the other teams hang on to their slow ass sidekicks, which hopefully isn't a given. However, Danny's slow ass sidekicks got it done against Hammy's fast ass team. Hamilton, how are you feeling after week one?
Heartbreak. Um, I really thought that I had a chance, and if there was going to be a team I could beat, it was going to be a team that was built like this. Um, I will take some solace in knowing that we lost the first game on a Mega Strike, and maybe if we play other slower teams with less Mega Strike captains, we'll do better. But I was really hoping that that was going to be our key to victory. Um, and then also to put up a combined 3 goals. I knew that Peach was not going to be a shooter. I don't think I was fully aware of how much she hurt Danny last season. So, um, still going to process that for probably another week or two.
think
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
your
that.
team. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say I think your team might need to work on the shooting boots a little bit. Of their 3 goals, 2 were mega strikes.
Yeah,
Need to find a way to put some open field goals in the net. I think.
Which I didn't
dry bones.
realize. I was looking back at season one, and Danny at some point did run your exact comp ham. He had the
Yeah,
meta comp with Peach. Um,
yeah.
and it wasn't good. But once again, this is a different league. We see a lot of teams that were very low to mid last season that are better this season. But I do very much wonder where your goals are going to come from because it's literally just dry bones.
It's just dry bones, and he did not have his shooting boots on last weekend, which is incredibly unfortunate for me. For being a first round pick, I needed him to find those.
Yeah, especially compared to the goal tallies that a lot of captains put out there.
Yeah,
You're gonna need some more production from him, which statistics from last season will say it'll eventually balance out, but he probably will need some goal scoring help at some point.
yep,
And I don't really know who you look for in that roster. Um,
yeah.
we had our longest OT of 149. We'll see how long that stands for. We'll keep referencing that. I think I already know after just that little bit of a conversation that Hamilton had, we were going to talk about overperformer and underperformer of the week. And this is, I guess we're thinking in terms of sidekicks, right?
It, I think it could be anybody.
Okay. Um, hmm. Well,
I'm
do you want to kick us off with your vote, Ham?
I'm also gonna base this off of, in my mind, stats coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
So like how they did in season one versus now. So like I'm gonna throw out there that my underperformer is my dry bones. And I think there's actually a lower performing dry bones out there. So let me see if I can
Dave's
figure out.
Drybones did not score a goal. Mine only scored one, and Garrett's only scored one. So
I think
Drybones as a whole had 10 goals, but 6 of them came from Reed's Drybones. I think, or yeah, Reed's Drybones.
yeah.
Which I'm looking at
So
right now. Oh, well, that doesn't that look great? Dry Bones number 5 up there with 6. So Dry Bones can compete with the best one, but we did not see that across the entire league.
correct. So I'm gonna throw, instead of my specific dry bones, I'm gonna throw all the dry bones but dry bones number 5 as my underperformer of the week. That's overperforming. But my overperformer of the week might be a little bit of a hot take. Is not Dry Bones number 5, although he did do well. It's going to be Bowser Jr. for me. I think that he did well last season and the team won a lot, but I don't think that Bowser Jr. I felt like his stats were inflated by him finding the meta early and a lot of teams still trying to figure it out. And he put up, I think, 7 goals in 3 games. Was it?
Ooh, did they lose?
Yeah, 7
Yeah.
goals in a 2-game loss.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was gonna ask where his help is, but then I remember what else is on the roster. So I know exactly where the
Yeah.
help isn't, and it's everyone else on the field.
Is that a couple birdos?
But in conclusion, he Bowser Jr. absolutely popped off despite not having a whole lot of support, and I'm curious. I'm afraid of that team moving forward now.
I think that's a pretty good shout. I would also toss DK into the ring.
DK in as well. 7 goals in 2 games as well, in a winning effort.
Which
Strong performance.
we've seen DK was hot and cold a number of times last season, so we'll see if he keeps it up. I'm trying to think of anything else. It's kind of
No mega strike goals out of DK. Those are 7 open field goals. He's not as much of a mega strike captain because his power up is pretty terrible, but that shooting statistic is showing out there.
Jesus, I am so excited to dig through these stats more. Is there a way to see more individualized stats?
What do you mean?
Like to see
If you scroll to the left, so if you can pop out the collapsing ones over
gotcha.
on the left side here.
Oh my god. So I'm trying to think. I don't really know. I don't really know any individual sidekicks to shout out other than Dry Bones number 5. But like Hamilton said, we kind of expect that from Dry Bones. But
The next highest, Saquondo had 3 goals. Eric's Shy Guy, I think, would be the next highest individual.
I think he got a shout out.
Individual sidekick. Oh, and Toad 2 also scored 3 goals.
Is that David's Toad?
That might be David's Toad.
Yeah, dude, David's Toad went crazy. That's Toad 3.
Yeah.
Toad 2.
Toad 2.
God, what a gold mine this is.
I would also throw. I don't know how many of these we can truly have, but in my opinion, the 5 Birdos dropping 5 goals is a slightly overperforming statistic, considering there were no Birdos in the league last season.
I would disagree because when Birdo did play, she was very high goal scoring.
Fair enough.
Like, so what is it? So this is the collective Birdo stat, right? 0.4 goals per game.
Yes.
Yeah, last season she hovered well above like 0.5 for the entire season. So I don't know if I can give her props for that. I think these are good shouts here. Oh man, I need to look at this document more. Okay, but anyway, what's Bowser Jr.? 0 strikers index.
Well, if your win percentage is 0, if you got swept, then your striker index becomes 0. Is what's happening there.
Yeah, and we've got 4 overperformers and 4 underperformers. It just looks like it's only 1. So, yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue into our tier list of the week. So, unlike last week where we were rating draft performance, this is a true tier list of power. This is, normal power rankings. So we're back to regularly scheduled programming, where this is, our 2 early predictions for the season. Eventually, I think, we'll start breaking this up into conferences, but right now, we haven't had any conference play. So we can save that for later in the season. I think we'll do the same style as usual, where we go down the line, add stuff, and then we can edit later. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay. And just like last time, you can pick someone and place them. Um, I will go first. Man, I need to look at results. Already
Well,
forgotten.
you
There's
can look at
too many
copy
damn
of
teams.
schedule, and then you also have team stats will show you a lot of the team stats.
Gotcha. I'm gonna pull that up on my second monitor. I want to take Colin in the did, and I want to put you into B. Um, I think beating Freddie's team will time will tell how great of a result that is, but I think that's a very solid team. And I think that you put some respect on the Did's name, so I'm going to put some respect on yours, and I think you deserve to be in B. Um, and I'm interested to see where this team goes and see uh, what you can do across the season.
We shall see. I think I'm gonna have to be smart with map picks. I think is the only way we're gonna make it through this season. Don't have the overarching talent, but we might be able to make it work with some crafty play.
Yeah, and I think one thing I think you deserve credit for is last season. I think the speed captains did best when they were surrounded by shooting, and you had that from the start. So I think there's only so far that you can fall. But Colin, you are next up to place in the list.
I think it's funny that you picked me because I was gonna pick you,
Oh, good
Mr.
guy.
Donkey Kong, my brother slash uncle. I don't know the relationship there. I was gonna put old Donkey Kong in the A tier. I think the most dominant win, a +5 goal differential in a series sweep against a team that I think isn't that bad in the Yoshi team. So I think you're an early contender for one of the teams to beat.
I appreciate that. And I hope that they can back that up on the field. But we'll see, dude. All it takes is like one big trade to really shake things up. Hamilton, who would you like to place?
I'm thinking that I'm gonna go with Eric, who's PD. Um, and I may have talked some slander about how he did in the draft, but I think I'm gonna put him also in A. Um, Another sweep, consistent performance from PD. Um, and frankly, his sidekicks overperformed, and if they keep doing that, he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. I am very afraid of Saquondo. It's that simple. Um,
Wanda's
We'll
a
see.
menace.
We'll see. I mean, what does he have? Two balanced sidekicks and a Monty. Um,
yep.
Yes.
okay.
But he,
Next up, um, this has consistently been a David slander podcast. Um, and I think that he beat a very, very solid Mario team. One a result that I don't remember if I predicted or not. But anyway, I think he deserves to be, high B, low A, somewhere up there. I put him right with Diddy, right with the Colonials, and I'm very interested to see how that team does going forward. I mean, they got way more goal production than I think you're ever going to get out of a Toad, and I think the question becomes if that dries up, will Daisy score? And the answer is probably no, but we'll see. Colin.
That's good placement there. I am gonna kind of keep moving down the line here a little bit. Um, actually, do I want to do that? Oh yeah, no, this is the team I'm looking at. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the mighty Luigi, and I would like to put him on the bottom end of B tier. I think they did drop one game, so they won 2-1, but scoring almost 5 goals per game, very impressive. Luigi continues his goal output. I don't understand why Luigi tends to score so much more than other balanced characters, but he does. Um, and I think that the team looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Although I will say I think Mario looked a little bit better this season, which may have something to do with sidekicks. It may have something to do with the comps of the rest of the league. Ham.
I'm gonna go grab Freddy's Waluigi, and I'm gonna put it in D tier. And this is not
Wow.
This is not Freddie slander. I want to clarify that. Um, I think that there is a real chance that he shoots up next week, but after 1 week scoring 1 goal between 2 games, I would struggle to put him higher than D. Um, I don't think his team is poorly built. I just think that he's got to figure out how his team is scoring goals, and once he does that, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit fair. It is interesting. He literally could be further. I mean, I guess he could have like triple hammer bros, but anyway, he went from triple dry bones, so no passing and just teleports and skill shots to Toad Boo Hammer Bro, which is a pretty weird build. So I think D is harsh, but like you said, it could be corrected. Not mad at it. Um, I think I'm gonna take. Jesus, we got so many mid teams. Um, Colin, do you wanna touch Peach or do you want me to?
I was actually looking at Peach.
Okay, I'll do something else then.
I have an issue though with my stats somewhere though. Just distracted me.
I want to put Mario also in B below Luigi intentionally, just because these two teams are the same, and I also think they played a very close series against Daisy, and I think that you run the sim 10 times and it probably ends up 5-5. So I think he belongs there. Colin.
Yes, I agree. I very sorry. I got distracted by my stats. I figured out what the issue was. I'm very easily distracted these days. I was gonna go with Peach, wasn't I? Peach. I was looking at the stats. I think I'm sorry, Ham. I think I am gonna go D tier.
It's not F. I really thought I would
It's
be an
not
F.
F. It's not F tier. I don't want to give Fs. 3 goals is again not a lot of goals.
Mhm.
It was actually only one Mega Strike goal, not two. So you did score 2 open field goals. I have
Yes.
a stat wrong somewhere that I need to fix. But um, yeah, I think the team needs to find ways to put the ball in the net.
Yep. Won't argue that.
I don't want you to ask to. I wish that you weren't here so we could speculate more, but I am very curious what your larger plan is for the season given the week one data. Um, but you can instead make your pick on who you'd like to place.
I'm gonna state that I am formulating a plan. I just don't know when it will be executed. Um, because I think I would like more data before I just sell the farm.
Yeah,
But
I mean
I'm
you do
curious.
have trade capital,
Yeah, and
so
I'm aware of that fact, but I also think that other people need another week of data to be more inclined to trade some people that are of trade capital worthy.
understood. Who are you placing?
Um, Give me Bowser up in C.
And see.
He beat me fair and square. I am skeptical of the slow team, but Bowser definitely looks good, to say the least. Um, and frankly, I don't really have a reason for him not being higher. Um, Other than it was only 6 goals, and my team in my mind sucks. So the fact that one of those was a 1 goal game in my mind is like, hey, maybe you should have done more. But um, I think that Danny's team is definitely going to do better than he did last season, considering he's got a win. And that didn't happen last season.
Yeah,
Um,
already better.
yeah, it'll be nice to see Bowser on a team that's not triple Boo or triple Shy Guy for an extended period of time of the season.
Yeah,
Garrett did fix that at the end, but like the entire season.
yeah, and he didn't get a whole lot of runway or like a lot. There was no second chances for him. Like
Yeah,
every single game he played was do or die.
yeah.
Um, yeah, my main concern for that, like that team and all our other slow teams is what they're gonna do in bad matchups, and I'm gonna put someone who I think is a very bad matchup for Danny next to him, in Jacob. I really am excited to see the egg squash. And I think if Jacob starts to ban Wasteland, there's a good chance that he rises up. But I do think that is a huge weakness for Yoshi. And I think he's got to start banning it, or else he might be in some trouble. But for now, I think C is fair. Colin.
Ham, as these two are the exact same team with similar results, do you wanna do this one together?
I certainly can. I haven't looked at either of them.
Um, they both are the captain, Birdo, and Shy Guy. Wario lost 2-1 against the Luigi's, and then Bowser Jr. put up a lot of goals but fell 0-2 versus the Piranhas. Um, I think I want to put them both on the tail end of C.
I
I want
can
to make
live
this
with
an even,
that.
even graph. I think the captains are very good. The teams are slow, and I don't know. Maybe they can make some changes and get a Birdo out of there. But their only options right now to pick up are Shy Guy and Koopa, and so you're just switching out, doubling up on Birdo to doubling up on Shy Guy, and I'm not sure if that's an improvement or not.
I want to put Bowser Jr.'s team higher just because Bowser Jr. is currently one of the Golden Boot leaders, but that's after one
Wario
week,
got to
and
win
yeah,
or one
um,
game.
yeah,
And he
but
also probably will be in the Golden Boot race eventually.
yeah, there's just not enough data to be like, yeah, you're just significantly better.
I
So
mean, Bowser Jr. Yeah, he put up 3 more goals, but in one less game than Wario. So goals per game wise, 3 times as much almost.
no.
This is a very interesting list. Um, does
I'm
anyone
gonna.
have any strong opinions of a move that they'd like to make?
I'd like to state that I'm exactly where I want to be at this point of the season. I can tip my hat to the entire rest of the league.
I feel
Um,
like I shouldn't be leading the B column. I should be moved further down.
I am fine with that.
Not the
Um,
third best team in the league.
it's so hard. Like it's such a
I
it's
know.
it's such a weird league. Like the all the top tier captains kind of tossing their draft has like really just like led to just like very middling teams.
which is great because you
So
really
much
don't know who's
parity.
good and who's bad,
Yeah.
except for who's bad. Um,
Every
Even that's
team's
not
gonna end
true.
this season 4-4.
That would be
possible.
crazy. But um yeah, I guess I honestly don't really have anything I want to move. I would probably just put everyone in B and C, which we pretty much did. And just let time tell. So I think
If
that's
you
totally
look
fair.
if you look at the goals for versus against chart, I've seen people do this with other sports where if you kind of divide it up into diagonal groups, it kind of makes tiers. And for us, that would put the A tier as kind of like on this chart. It would be Donkey Kong, Luigi. B tier would be PD, Mario, Peach, and Diddy, which I don't know how Peach is in there.
Let's go.
C tier would be Bowser Jr., Daisy, Bowser, and Waluigi, and then D tier would be like Wario and Yoshi. So that might not be a good analysis, but just
Can
interesting.
you
It's
explain to
kind
me
of
again how you were drawing those lines?
And
let
what
me
graphic you were
draw a
looking at?
line here. The
He's in the
graphic,
display column I through M, rows 2 through 15.
uh,
So he's
like
looking at
like
the
along
graph.
along
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Okay. Okay. I did diagonal the other way, and then I did horizontal lines.
So I was like
So
there, 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 and there. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing, but just
We've got one line just for your awareness.
oh, well, yeah, I was
yeah.
just
But
dragging it around.
it's a great line. I can see where you would be drawing lines.
I think if you put it like between like cutting like through Daisy's head, that's probably freaking Freddy.
Let's go. I am good, is what I'm reading from this, and that's all that matters.
So it's very
You seem to be in the wrong place, actually. I think I have you and Bowser switched on this graph.
yeah.
If
It
I had to
doesn't
guess.
make
Yeah,
a
I
whole
should not have
does
more
not make
goals
any
for
sense.
it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Peach and
Statistically,
Bowser are switched on this
does
graph.
not make any sense for Peach to have lost the series and have more goals for and less goals against.
Let's pull up where that chart is from.
I have more goals against. I shouldn't have more goals for.
Yeah, and you have fewer goals
Yeah.
against and more goals
Oh,
for.
I
Yeah,
read the x-axis wrong.
yeah. No,
My bad.
you are just this.
It's backwards. Bowser and Peach are switched. Just so swap those two in your brain, and I'll fix
Ah,
that for next
What
week.
about Mario and Daisy? Because Daisy beat Mario.
It's very possible those are switched too. I made this chart at like 1:30 in the morning after a couple beers, so
Yeah, but anyway, you know, lots to play for. We really don't have any data to go off of. This is all just gut checks. These are one game results. I'm pretty sure our tier list at the start of last season got completely upended. But you know, we live and we learn. Which we probably won't do as we make predictions for week 2.
oh
Um,
boy.
I haven't even looked at the slate of this games. I have done absolutely zero preparation. So, we kick it off with Freddy versus Danny. And I got to rewrite the script in my head that tells me that Danny is bad. Um, and I think that's all that I need to take this script to because I think that Danny is better than Freddy. It was interesting, you know, last season we ended up, I think, really like right at 50-50 in terms of ties versus wins. So teams winning in, I guess, no, not teams winning in 2. That would have resulted in teams winning in 2. But do you guys follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Those, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, we had a lot of 2-game wins last week, which was surprising to me. And I think that this is a game that Danny very well could win into. I don't think Freddie's much better than Hamilton's team is, so I'm going to take Danny into. Ham, what do you see happening?
I wanted to do Danny in 3, but I'm struggling to see which game Freddy's getting. And so I'm gonna mirror you and go Danny in 2.
I also
Um,
think that Freddie has to take a long look in the mirror and think about his map selection a lot more than he did last season. Because
yeah.
I don't think Wasteland is it, and I don't think he's thought too much more than that because he didn't have to.
Yeah.
Colin?
I think if Freddy looks in and picks, I don't know what map would be best for him, but if he finds it, I think he takes one, and then it comes down to can he steal one in game 3. I don't think he does steal the game 3. I'm gonna go Danny in 3.
The other hard thing is I feel like there are like so many maps that you have to focus on banning against Bowser that I don't really know how much you even get to control the map pool. Like I am
Yeah.
terrified of Bowser on Crystal Canyon. I was already scared of Bowser on Thunder Island, Lava Pit, basically any map where someone can be eliminated because that's one less person that he has to burn. So I'm not that scared of Waluigi on any map if he's not surrounded by dry bones. Um,
I'm the only pro I will continue to state of Crystal Canyon is there's a chance that Bowser's not on the field. It's just a gamble of who you think the map's gonna steal that day. Um,
Yeah,
and if
but
you can keep it,
for the moments that he is on the field, he can flame 1 to 2 people and
yes,
score two
Mega Strike for
goals.
free.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I hear it. There's a part of me that's going. I don't have a good captain. Get the other person's captain and my captain off the field, and then pray that it takes us 4 minutes and 58 seconds to score one goal.
I think that's a pretty big indictment in terms of how you're feeling about your roster.
Yeah.
But next game, I feel like this one's actually quite close. Maybe you guys feel differently. I hate Eric's roster. I love Petey. I hate the roster. Eric and Danny just really grind my gears. And I want to see Garrett do something with this Mario team. So I'm gonna go Garrett, but I do think if he does it, it'll be in 3. It certainly won't be in 2. But I would love to see a solidly selected team beat Eric. Hamilton, what do you think's happening?
I agree with you that I'd like to see that, but I think I'm gonna see Eric win in three. I think that PD's just gonna absolutely dog Mario. I think Eric's taking this more seriously, and I think his map picks might actually have an impact. Um, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Colin.
The big boy put in some work. Gary in 3.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know if he will,
Yeah, I
but
mean, and there's definitely no such thing as like a pro Mario map. So, all of his
yeah,
energy has to go into mitigating PD. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta mitigate PD. You do have a dry bones, so Wastelands probably isn't a bad shout.
yeah, and I mean the Luigi team put up 9 on Wasteland. So there could be something there for the Mario Bros. Um, Adam versus Colin. Um, to me, I feel pretty straightforward about this one. I think Adam is gonna boss the map pick ban. Um, I will say that it is very likely that Adam does not end up with the same roster. Um, seeing that he dropped in the Discord, can I change 2 characters? So, if he can figure out how to change his roster, I don't think he'll run the same team. But I also don't think he'll ban the right map against Colin, and I think that might net Colin a win. I'll say Colin in 2, just because I don't know all that Adam can do right now, unless someone accepts a trade, is pick up Koopas and Shy Guys. Hamilton.
Um, I'm thinking this is gonna be Colin. I'm gonna go three, just on the hedge that Adam figures out how to get a game. Um, we'll be curious to see what happens if he makes 2 roster changes, but I think that he could get a game out of it if he does.
Yeah, I think the hard thing for Adam is that all of his trade capital rests in Wario. Um, so it's kind of hard
Yeah.
for him to improve without fundamentally altering and possibly wrecking his team. Colin, were you going to say
What?
something?
Oh, I was just gonna make my pick.
Then go right ahead.
I'm gonna take myself in 3. I don't really trust this team to win 4 straight games.
Yes.
To be honest, I don't. Maybe we'll continue to show that we're the greatest defensive team in SPL history, but I'm not sure. We're gonna need to find some more goals. The one advantage I do have, without him looking to make a move, is that there's really only one move he can make, or I guess 2 moves, and it's either drop 1 Birdo for a balanced character or drop 2 Birdos for 2 balanced characters. So I have an idea of what he's gonna throw out there. Um,
First ever podcast grilled cheeseburger.
Possibly. I will confirm it. It's a little tough, but I think it was phrased slightly differently but the concept was the same.
Okay. Well,
I've returned from the land of the dead, controller. No idea how far I got in my speech before that died.
That might be for that might be for the better.
yeah, you might have just earned yourself a chilled Griesberger with that explanation. But anyway, we'll let
No.
the audio listeners who, now that Colin is on the podcast, is really dwindling low, we'll let them be the jury. Damn. Okay. I did not think about this at all. I had not looked at the week 2, but I played David. That's freaking tough. Think
Yeah,
Jake,
whoever made the schedule must be rigging it or
Jake,
something.
Jacob might be onto something. About this schedule, but I mean, I gotta pick myself, but I do think it'll be a very close series, probably in 3. I think David will have some good picks, and he seems a locked in. David is scary in pretty much anything. And his team is much more dangerous than I thought they'd be. Ham, what are you doing?
I was in the middle of trying to find the compositions of each character, so I'm now looking at this. I'm gonna go Austin in 2.
Oh no.
I think my own team is not doing well, and I think that Dave and my teams are pretty similar. I do think Daisy is better, but
They really aren't though. Like,
they aren't exact mirrors, but they are.
You only share 2 characters.
Yes,
And
but I think his is better. Is the additional piece.
I agree with that. Because his team has, I see them scoring goals.
Yes.
But, but yeah,
I think it's 2. I just think it's 2.
all right, Colin.
Get that yellow highlighter ready. We're going Austin in 2.
No. No, screw it. We're leaning into the confidence. We're going undefeated all season. He's the best captain in the whole league. He carried his team to a top 3 finish last season. Jacob versus Reed. Yoshi versus Luigi. Will you be helping Reed with his map selection? That's a question for Colin.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna see him because he's home right now.
If he asks you a question about map selection, that significantly sways my opinion on this series.
I'm gonna say that there's a strong chance that I help him with map selection. But I will not initiate the conversation, is what I will also state.
I do think this is a really close series. Go ahead.
I will force him to initiate the conversation about whether or not he wants to have advice for this week or not.
Understood.
Is what I'm gonna say.
We have Yoshi's Kryptonite is the map that Reed dropped 9. So I hope that he's trying to pick that. But we'll see. Who are you taking in the series, Hamilton? Saying that you may have a little sway in it.
I'm gonna take Reed. I'm gonna take Reed in 3. I think that his team is better even if I don't help him. I think he can still find a way to get 3. I think the chances of him winning 3 drastically improve if he makes the right picks. Whether he does that from listening to the podcast, like everyone else does, or from reaching out for help is up to him.
Yeah, we really just are putting out free knowledge for the rest of the league.
Yeah,
on pretty much everything but how to beat us is the only thing we don't give a manual for. Colin, who do you have?
I'm gonna take the Mr. Monty's. I am going to take them in 3. But I think Mr. Monty's, if Jacob makes the right ban, it doesn't matter if Reed makes the right pick. And I think Yoshi can find a way to put some goals in the net and counteract this high-scoring Luigi team.
In week 1, Jacob banned the dump. So we'll see.
Against you.
Against me.
And you do have 2 passing captains or 2 passing sidekicks, so it's not a terrible ban.
No, not a bad ban, but I do think his permaban needs to be Wasteland.
Yes, I would agree.
I think if he's looking at my team, that's pretty smart. But I am glad that you blocked the guarantee, Colin, because I think that this is it's much closer to 50-50. Hamilton versus Grant. In what week do you end up playing against a speed character?
Never. It's rigged.
Oh God.
There's only one correct answer here, and it's another highlighter.
Is it?
I think so.
Well, I'll go ahead and put you down because
Dick.
You went 2 or 3.
Oh, I thought you meant you were putting me down to win, at which point I was just gonna be upset with you.
I'm still thinking about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2. Timeout. Who is Dutchy? Is that Adam or is that Grant?
That's Adam.
Beautiful.
Grant is Bowser Jr. with the lemons.
Yeah, that was not a team name though. That was. I'm putting together the Flying Dutchman might be the guy named Dutchy though.
That's a really good guess.
It's a Discord name to clarify though. Just trying to figure out what moves could be made and if he was making them or if that was a not me issue.
Yeah.
But having talked about Colin's matchup a fair number of times and possibly had a grilled cheeseburger on, I feel like I should have put that together as well.
Colin, are you struggling with this as much as I am?
I'm gonna go Grant.
Okay.
And 2.
Okay.
I don't believe in the Peach. I'm sorry. Peach didn't win a game last year. It is a worse league this year. But Bowser Jr. is a force even without a ton of captains. This is, I would like to point out, a fun matchup because Bowser Jr. is the character that Ham passed on in the first round, who most people would have probably picked, or at least was probably the highest rated captain, and Ham passed on him to take a dry bone. So I think this is a fun look there.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Another thing I forgot to highlight earlier is that we have the captain swap game up here.
Oh, I didn't even notice
in
that.
Adam versus Colin, which is also a fun storyline. And then we have first pick versus last pick. So couple of interesting narratives. Oh man,
Seems like the schedule makers did a good job.
do I give him what he wants? I'm trying to think of any map where your team scores goals.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought I went to both of them last week.
Yeah, dude, it's too like when I think about it in terms of soccer as a game of who scores the most goals, then it's Bowser Jr. himself scored 7 in 2 games, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna score 7 in a 3-game series with this team.
I don't know that I'm gonna score 7 in a 2-week series.
You're up to 3.
Bro, Dry Bones is gonna have to have a life game every week. Which there was a Dry Bones out there who did that. So it's possible. Oh man, I think there are a couple maps where you could influence this. I'm gonna go 3. But
I appreciate that from you.
We will see. We are much more unified in our predictions this week, which is also probably by the fact that we don't have 6 people.
Well, if you look at our 3 picks last week, we weren't that far off.
That's true.
Yeah.
We would have guaranteed 3 of the 6. And
yeah.
we only did 1 more. So that makes sense. That adds up. Shouts out to Shell.
Week for show.
Yeah. honestly shocking with how much Strikers content he consumes. Yeah. But I think that's all that we have for this week, unless someone has any topics or things they'd like to bring up. Um, but really solid week one. Um, very happy about how everything has played out so far, from the draft to you know, going to best of threes. I think so far we've got some very competitive series, and it feels very new and fresh, which says a lot considering how much strikers we watched last season. So yeah, feeling good, feeling happy. Ham, how are you feeling going into week two?
I might have sent a couple texts to a couple people during this podcast, starting trade talks. Um, so really good, obviously, about my current team. Um, but it will be fun to watch them burn if that is the way it goes down.
Yeah, if you ever need me to pass a word on, just let me know.
Appreciate that.
Colin, your thoughts?
Just excited to see what the rest of the season holds. Everyone loves to make drastic conclusions after week one because every single team is either 1-0 and undefeated or 0-1 and completely winless. So every team kind of feels like they have it all in front of them or they're hopeless. And as we kind of saw last year, that's not how it goes. So I'm excited to see if what happens when we get some more data and teams find themselves a little bit.
And on a final note, I would like to shout out that the MFMK is officially 4-2 against the Spellcasters, and it's not stopping now. We're riding this wave all the way through interconference play. We are gonna
FMK, MFMK.
we are absolutely gonna rinse the Spellcasters over the next 2 weeks, and we're taking the whole playoffs. You know, if one of us wins, we all win. So
I think you're forgetting that spells take time to take effect.
I will be all in on the MFMK until conference play starts, and then I hate each and
yeah,
every
yeah,
one of you red little buggers.
But right now, it's one for all. Um,
Absolutely.
so on that note, MFMK on top, and we'll see you all on Saturday.